Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I think we're back, right? MMX, we're back.
Yeah,
Is this it?
I'm pretty sure we're back. It's been
Is it-
it's been a little while, just a bit.
Yeah, the network was down for a bit, so we didn't have any way of communicating.
Yeah, that's a little rough, a little interference, but you know we're back. We're jacked in. Things are great.
Do you prefer to say jacked in or plugged in?
I'm a jack-in person because you know that was my first introduction to the series. Like I watched dub before sub, so I'm a jack-in kind of guy. What about you?
I feel it. I've accustomed myself to plug in.
Okay.
Plug in and transmission, baby. Let's go.
Oh, going full tilt. That's
You got to.
pretty bold, but you know that's yeah.
I mean, ever since you ruined jacking into squirrels, I just, it's not. I can't.
Listen, that's what it took. Okay, we gotta move on. You know.
Anyway, people, welcome back to the Net Saviors podcast, the podcast for the portable Net Savior. I'm Adell. I dragged MMX back into this.
Yeah.
There's way too much news not to talk about nowadays, so you know what?
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. A lot's happened since well, let's not look at
Last time.
Yeah,
Last
last
time.
time. Yeah. We have some cutting edge news. Do we want to jump into the news?
Yeah. Which one do you want for? I mean, we have a list obviously here, but which one do you want?
Let's hit the mobile games. So,
all right.
For those
Go ahead.
for those that aren't familiar, there are two Docomo phones. For those who don't know what those are, Japanese. There's a Japanese mobile carrier, and they had flip phones. They're very prominent. And in about 2004 and 2009 for Docomo phones, there were two Battle Network games that were released exclusively for those phones. You had to have an active subscription to play them, and they were called Phantom of Network and Legend of Network. These games are Battle Network games on flip phones. You know, the 9-digit keypad, or 14, how many buttons? It's got buttons. It's old.
They have a lot of
phone.
buttons on Docomo phones. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, so it's a game that was designed, and it's official. Like, it is an official Capcom game. And as of recently, they have been finally dumped through a seriously large community effort.
Mm-hmm. Basically lost media for let's see, the service for the last one, Legend Network, ended in 2017. So for even before that, people were just like, there's no way to get them off these phones because Docomo phones have a special connector, and then they're saved in a certain part of the phone, and then to keep the phone powered on, you have to do this, but to enter the debug mode, you also need an active subscription to Docomo. Oh, but that's canceled. You know, it's been a real back and forth, and shout out to Good Tofu Friday for keeping me up to date on it all, because he's been helping with this, and it sounds like a huge headache. I cannot imagine trying to figure out how to power up a phone and pull things off in the same connector, but it has to intercept, and I'm like...
Without destroying the phone, too, which is tricky, too. There were efforts in the past to get copies of the game off of people that had Docomo phones. Japan and Japanese people, for the most part, I mean, there are people in Japan that this doesn't apply to, but generally speaking, they're a little protective of the things that they have in terms of preservation. There's a different mindset between, Japan and other countries. That also prevents a little bit of a challenge, which is, a little difficult to navigate, but through, again, community efforts, a little bit of international travel, a big fundraiser effort by Demi D or MC. It really was. It was cool to see it come together. I'm figuring, if I remember correctly, I think Demi is actually doing a video series detailing it. They actually had to travel overseas to do this work, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so the games are playable. They're currently the Rockmania XE Zone, Prof 9, and the team at Trez are working on actively translating Phantom of Network and Legend of Network, which is awesome. And they put together a package that includes a Docomo emulator. So if you want to whip out your phone and use Google Translate, you yourself can go and play LON or PON. I think there's a couple of content creators and streamers that are currently going through. There are 8 chapters in all. Originally, when this news broke, I don't mean to steal the thunder.
Go ahead.
Originally, when this news broke, it was understood that, okay, we only have up to like chapter 2 or chapter 3. It turns out, through people playing the game, that all 8 chapters for the titles were present. They're fully dumped. So what was originally considered to be like this huge Herculean effort that would have needed to continue on actually turns out like they got the whole treasure chest right there, baby. Everything is laid out. The package is really slick. I would recommend archiving it or downloading it soon, in case, you know,
anything happens.
Certain litigious entities end up litigating, as they tend to do. Not that it's, you know, these services are defunct now. The Docomo...
I was gonna say, I'm not sure, like, how. I mean, it's their intellectual property, obviously, but I don't know what they would have to challenge with. You know, it's like, it's a really weird gray area.
It is, because you're not only dealing with Capcom, whose property this is, but you're also dealing with the service provider and parent company for Docomo. Like, they still exist. It's still a legal entity. The service is just defunct. So, it is a gray area. That's a good way to put it. But nothing like a little undernet action to keep things exciting. Yeah.
Have you actually played them?
I've not yet. I've gotten downloaded, but I haven't. I think I'm going to wait for the translation patch so I can kind of get the real full.
Yeah, no, it's holding your phone up and trying to operate the phone controls is kind of crap. I'm gonna put it that way. I've played through a little bit of these. It is a very simplified version of a map, obviously because it had to run on a phone from 2004 originally. And it's very simplified. The battle screens are all about the same. You don't even have pictures for the chips when you select them, so there's no like sprite work there or anything. It's just a description. Yeah. Phantom Network's pretty bare bones. Legend Network definitely picks up on that. I think it has a much deeper story too. Involving things like Trojan viruses and trans arms, which is a cool way of doing soul unison. And yeah, I mean, overall, like MMX said, definitely check it out, or wait and hope that no one gets rid of it, or just download it and wait. You know, there'll be a patch one day, I'm sure. Nice IPS.
Yeah. I don't know about IPS, but I'm looking forward to seeing the fan art coming out of this too, because both of these titles introduce new characters across the board. Like, I think Midnight's done some really cool cache artwork back before. Gosh, it's been quite a while that he's had.
Well, he was playing these, like, I looked up some things. He was playing these on webcam for YouTube 13 years ago.
Oh, man. We should get him on at some point. I'd love to catch up with Mid, see what he's been up to.
If we're ever up at the same time, he's on the other side of the world.
That's true. That's
the hard part now.
A bunch of new characters, too, to look forward to. It really, like I said, it is a through and through Battle Network title, just on a different platform. There's also a Legends title in there, which I want to take a look at, that I'm really interested in.
Oh, yeah.
But
I completely passed over that. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
But there is one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it isn't just LON or PON. It is all of the Docomo service games. All of them have been archived and dumped. So to say this is huge news is itself an understatement. This is massive. Like,
so
history.
Does that mean they got the Final Fantasy 1 port as well?
I don't know.
Man, that's important.
I guess. But that's not Mega Man related.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, how convenient. So yeah. What is it? Do you want to talk about anything with PO and LON other than people should just play it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, the entire team, I think it's Scilab, if I remember correctly, the Scilab team has been really hard at work for a long time on this effort. You know, you mentioned Tofu, who's been instrumental in getting data off these phones. Like, I can't summarize just how difficult it probably was to get data off of these things. because not only are these cell phones like old school style, they're also really small, and there's a finite number of them because the service is inactive. So you have to get phones that just happen to have these titles installed. I can't even imagine the number of phones that they went through in order to get to this point. So
I can give you a number.
really,
Yeah, because, well, I can give you Tofu's number of phones because I think he ordered, if I remember correctly, we're looking at about 694 phones.
there's no shot. What?
By
I expected.
Yahoo Auction Japan.
I expected like maybe 50 or 60, but that many?
No. We trashed a lot. Like, he bought lots. Yeah, like lots. Just of cell phones in hopes that there was a Docomo phone in there, and we would dig through it, and then we went through all of them, and then we maybe had about 250 Docomo phones. But then, are these the right Docomo phones? Oh, how do we activate them? Oh, they need a cert. It was. And he still has drawers full of these phones.
I shudder to imagine.
Some of them are cool. You know, I took home a couple myself that weren't in use. They got some like cool translucent ones, ones where you press the button, it flips up and turns around, does all kinds of crazy crap.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's just the amount of tech wasted here.
Yeah, the e-waste is a little tough to wrap your head around, but you know, it is for the sake of preservation, and who knows? These phones probably would have ended up in a landfill anyway. So
we could have found it with all the magic cards.
Maybe.
Okay, so what else? I'll read down my list here. So, upon a simplified version, you get Hatman, Jamming Man, and Cash as your new characters. Hatman, I like Hatman. Honestly, he's so we have Magic Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's cool. I like the classic wizard look, little book on his back. But I love that Hatman is the modern magician. So he does like roses, he does swords, he does playing cards, all that kind of stuff. And I think I could have dug that a little bit more if we'd had that sooner, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I really like Jamming Man, honestly, who's another Navi that's new to this. He actually completely cuts off communications to Navis, which is a unique concept, kind of, in the game series. You would think, like, an evil organization would be like, okay, well, this dude's giving us a problem, why not just... I mean, Flashman kind of did that, I guess, in BM3.
Flashman kind of did that. Technically, Fireman did that when you couldn't jack into the oven for a second.
Yeah, and it was kind of isolated.
When the sun...
No, there was a warp point inside the oven comp that went to the internet. Right? It's been a while.
No, haha. Having played the Legacy Collection recently, I can tell you that there was indeed not a warp point in the oven comp in Battle Network 1.
Okay.
But that was when they still had physical cords that they had to jack in with, that they could cut off communication that way. But yeah, Jamming Man, I think, is the best thing. Spoilers for the game, it's made by Cash. And there's multiples of him, and he just goes around screwing up everything.
That seems to be a pattern in the series of Navis that loathe humanity and also have to do with things like bugs. See,
I like the idea of Cash, though, because he shows up in the anime, and I don't want to talk about that. But in this game, at least, it's kind of neat because he's a Navi that formed from an old server just being left on. And he's made from the cache data.
There it is. Okay.
So, and yeah, he wants to destroy humanity. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
It's not super deep. It's not like terribly like, oh, his ideals. Maybe they can be looked upon in a positive light. It's like, no, not really.
Yeah.
Very simple. Yeah. Where Lawn, on the other hand, I think does a better job with that. Because this one involves Dr. Hikari and the main, I don't want to say main villain, but the person who knows about what's happening, Charisse, making a new system for Mega Man called the Transarm, and then they infect that with the Trojan horse. So every time Mega Man uses the Transarm system, it infects him, and then every time he fights someone with the reverse of that, it causes the Trojan horse to be made.
That's kind of interesting.
Right?
I mean, it kind of sounds like these two titles were kind of like Capcom Scratch Pad, where they just put in
absolutely.
ideas that they may have had lying around. That's what it seems like. Because, I mean, these are like seriously fleshed out concepts for a mobile game. I guess in this day and age, it's not as uncommon, but we have to remember that these games came out in like the late aughts, so this was really unique for its time.
But I think you're onto something with that, because looking at a lot of designs, like Trojan Horse shares a lot of similarities with Light Virus. Has the same color scheme, kind of has some of the same design bits going on with the edges and things. Yeah, I mean, I can see this as like we couldn't fit this into a game, we're done Battle Network. Just throw it in the mobile game.
I mean, Cash has art entries in the official Complete Works, so it's definitely been in Capcom's vaults for quite some time.
But yeah, so Legend Network gives you Charisse, Rideman, and his alternate form R Rideman, where he turns into a bipedal horse, and Trojan Horse. Wow. I know, Rideman's cool. He's a cowboy.
I mean, they're thematic. If nothing else, they're kind of loosely tied together.
Yeah. I still like Trojan Horse a lot. I don't know, something about that just... I kind of wish that Battle Network as a series had done that more with real-world things. Like, if we had, you had Worms, the Trojan Horse, obviously, more malware stuff, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, right? Because between the anime and in some cases, to a lesser extent, the games, in the anime it was really prominent that these viruses had more of a tangible effect on the real world, the internet, things like that. Like you'd see Meteors just chomping away at, a stop sign or something like that. And it's kind of there in the games, but it's not really well represented. The Navis do more destruction in terms of like internet to real world stuff, so...
Yeah. Well, that's only because of dimensional areas and the influence of Duo.
Yeah.
And the asteroids.
Oh, right. Man.
He said we shouldn't talk about the anime, and here I am. We should talk about the anime.
Yeah.
I have a better appreciation for it now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do now, because during the lead up to the Legacy Collection, which we'll talk about a little bit further down the line in the episode, leading up to it, Capcom actually broadcast out all of the anime, start to finish, dub and sub, for everything. It was available on their YouTube channel for a little bit. It's been since pulled down, but it served as a good on-ramp for people that have never experienced it, or maybe only caught one or two episodes as a kid, to fully get the picture leading up to the Legacy Collection, which I thought was really cool. So I think on that point that a lot of people have an appreciation for the anime now, being able to watch it all and not get it from sources or whatever.
I find it interesting they never released a Blu-ray.
Yeah.
They've only had DVDs.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened now, because I imagine that there was some sort of licensing that they had to get hammered out in order to rebroadcast leading up to the Legacy Collection, or maybe that it being limited was the condition for them getting the license. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it feels like that's a big missed opportunity for Legacy Collection launch to get a Blu-ray set out, but maybe they didn't want to fragment it because not all of it was fully localized.
I mean, screw localization. I'm sorry. That dub was not good.
I mean, no, but it's...
No.
It wasn't great, but...
Like, it's nice to watch your old anime dubbed So you watch Card Captors and you're like, yeah, Card Captors, a mystic adventure, and then you watch it not dubbed and you're like, oh, this story's a bit deeper than Madison giving her clothes, huh? Yeah.
I mean,
I see.
that again is kind of like a product of its time in a way, because those came out around the time where dubbing was still an evolving art, I guess.
Yeah.
The pool of talent there was really well grounded, diverse, but spread very thin.
That's because you had more companies to choose from,
Yeah.
whereas nowadays it's 2,
Mm-hmm.
3.
Bang Zoom and
Funny.
yep.
And the other one.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Of course, as much as I would love to segue directly into talking about the Legacy Collection, in which I could probably talk about forever.
Yeah, there's like 6 games in there right here.
There's sure, yeah.
What do you want to talk about next? You want to talk about the other thing?
We can jump into talking about the other thing that Tofu worked on.
All right, so Tofu recently got back from a week trip to France, where he worked with a gentleman who had as far as I'm aware, the only operating arcade board for the Battle Chip Stadium. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, the Battle Chip Stadium.
And that was an arcade game that was released only in Japan, advertised in the anime.
Mm-hmm.
And it plays nothing like Battle Network. I guess it kind of plays more like a turn-based fighting game.
It is, yeah. I mean, you have to remember that it is first and foremost an arcade game, so it had to like attract people to it. One, and two, be appealing to fans of the show, which for Japanese arcades is, I mean, it's grounds for really diverse games, and Battleship Stadium is really no exception to that. It created. There's so much to love about it. It's so quirky, but yeah, I think you are right. It's probably it's at least one of the only known functional Battleship Stadium cabinets that are out there.
And I know it took years to get with this guy because I remember Tofu would throw numbers at him like, "I will buy it from you for $5,000, this much," and it's just like, woo. Man can't even finance it. And he's like, "We'll just worry about that later."
Well, I mean, this is what they ended up being able to do is the next best thing. You know, being able to basically travel and dump it on site, which is bonkers to even think about.
Oh, I also like to point out it all fit on a compact flash card.
Really?
That's what it traveled on.
Dang.
It's not a very big game.
Well, I mean, around 2005, yeah. That makes sense. That's wild. It was also the only way to get, like, some... So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was actually going to talk about those, too. You go.
Yeah, no, like, to dig a little bit deeper into it, it is effectively just like a Navi fighter, where you have a Navi on the left and the right, kind of a la Battle Chip Challenge, but not as cool, in my opinion. Anyway, you actually were able to use and get physical battle chips out of this. So there was a slot on the cabinet to be able to slot chips in. You had a couple of buttons.
Wait. There were 4 slots per player.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that picture I sent you from the anime is how it looks.
Okay.
So the top 2 slots are where each player puts their Navi chip in, and then those 3 are where you plug your 3 in for that round.
I see. We should definitely make that the episode thumbnail.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be in there, don't worry.
But yeah, so effectively, like, you have the Link Pet has Navi chips that you can use for them that have a tiny bit of onboard storage too, which is kind of cool. And So you're able to actually. It's so cool. The Link toys and Beast not coming stateside is one of the worst travesties of Battle Network's waning popularity in the mid to late aughts. It's just it's such a shame because there's interoperability between the toys, the stadium, like it's just cool. It's such a ball drop, man.
I think the issue is I'm trying to remember who had rights to the Mega Man toys, and I can't remember for the life of me.
I believe it was Takara Tommy.
It was Takara over here as well, right?
It was Takara over here as well. I'm remembering Uber Geeks. No, Mattel had stateside rights. Takara Tommy had Japanese rights. And the reason I remember that is because Uber Geek 77 owns a prototype Takara Tommy branded English Advanced Pet 2.
Ooh.
Which was not released. It's super flippin' cool. He just dropped it in the N1GP Discord at one point, and it just blew everyone's minds. He's like, hey, is this a thing? And it's just, no, this is an unreleased English translated prototype of this toy. So there was maybe some uncertainty. We can throw guesses, but Mattel definitely had rights in the States around that time.
I'm probably going to say that I'm going to say they did a really poor job with pushing the pets. Only because I remember I got my Proto Man one as like a little set from KB Toys. And let me date myself here. But I remember not really seeing a lot of push for like the battle chips or how the systems worked or any of that stuff. So, and I don't think they released after, or did they? Did they release the Progress?
They did not. No, it was
okay.
It stopped after the Advanced Pet, and there was some advertisement, but it was relegated exclusively to Kids WB, where Mega Man NT Warrior was airing at the time. So there were TV commercials, I love Mega Man. They had all those commercials around the anniversary, which I think it was the 15th. I have the poster somewhere, and so there was a little bit of advertising, but you're right, it wasn't sufficient to push the toys. I think they were using the anime as the advertisement.
Absolutely.
Because this was also the time where Mega Man saturation hadn't really happened. This is kind of like, I don't want to say the golden age, but it was the most dense age of merchandising for the series. At least in the States and in Europe. So, I don't know. I guess maybe it didn't hit their targets and they're just like, pull it. We're done. And then Kids WB shut down.
I bet the Mega Man cars sold better than the pets. I bet that base Hot Wheels car sold like gangbusters. I'm calling it.
I don't. I'll have to defer to someone with expertise in that.
But okay, so back to the arcade system. So it features mostly things from Battle Network 6. So you got, of course, Mega Man, Tomahawk, Heat, Aqua, Tengu, Elect, Killer, Dust, Slash, Charge, and Ground. And then they gave it 3 updates. The first one gave you Proto Man. The second one gave you Colonel, Base, and Dark Mega Man. And the last one gave you Beast Out Base, or I guess Beast Out Forte, because we never got that over here, and Dark Proto Man.
Yeah, the Beast Out base looks,
I always found it look kind of silly. I don't know, man.
It's interesting.
Why does he keep this scar? Why is it?
Well, I mean, that's kind of like part of the silhouette of the character. The Rockman EXE Zone has a pretty decently scaled render on their website, or on their image gallery, under the transformations category, if you want to take a look at that a little bit deeper. There was also... no, there wasn't a combination Beast Out either. That was it.
No, there wasn't. That was anime only.
Yeah.
That's when he turned all white, and he was like flying, and he had Gregor's head, and he was cross-fused as well, and it was just like, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
We're not talking about the anime today.
Not yet. So that's all being worked on currently by Tofu's group
Mhm.
and people associated with them. There's a lot going on there. One last thing. I don't think we added. Not only could you slot your chips in, this thing gave you chips if you won.
Yeah, this is the only way to get exclusive orange Boktai chips, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So if you ever see orange chips on Baiyi or anything like that, I think there are also white chips too that came out of this.
Yeah, there's white, there's orange, and it sometimes gave you Navi chips, but more than often you get like junk.
I mean, if you ever see those colored chips on a lot on Baiyi or Yahoo Auctions Japan, those are from the Stadium. I wouldn't go so far as to say they were hot commodities. They're kind of common. I think Eurasia might be able to attest to get more info on that. But he's got a pretty decent sized collection of Stadium sourced chips. So it's kind of like a the dual terminal for Yu-Gi-Oh, where you play it and you get something out of it. So it's kind of similar to that, which is cool.
Or how Dragon Ball Superheroes has their thing too, where you scan your card and gives you another card if you beat it.
Yeah, it's super
They're
cool.
still doing all that jazz, yeah. But the other thing what's funny is about them not being a hot commodity. With Tofu working on dip chips, these things are like super obsolete.
Yeah, I mean, well, all battle chips are really obsolete in the presence of dip chips, which is a good advancement. And for those that don't know, Tofu has also innovated in the way of physical battle chips that are usable with the Chipgate accessory and the pet toys, where there are dip switches you can flip up or down, and there's a combination of them, and that combination equates to a specific battle chip. So you effectively, with one chip, can make whatever chip you want with these dip switches, which is why they're called dip chips.
So what I'm trying to get him to do is, I want to make a fight stick for the dip chips, where you just tap the combinations you want on the fight stick, and it acts as the chip itself.
Let me know how it goes.
Instead of flicking the little switches, I want to be like tap 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 tap.
That sounds interesting, but complicated.
Oh, absolutely needlessly. Or just hook it up to a numpad. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's no less complicated than flipping a tiny little switch on the end of a chip, right?
Yeah, but you can just pick up a whole set of dip chips, set the dips to whatever you want them to be, and then never change them again.
But the point is you're supposed to have just one.
Okay, but in a speed run, you're not going to be like flipping dip switches.
Right, but that's why you're going to use my method, where you're tapping the numpad.
Gosh.
See, I'm ahead of the curve, bro. Y'all gotta join me on this. All right. I think that's it for news. I mean, there was also, like you said, the Rockman Dash games that came off the phones. I don't know anything about them because I am not a Legends fan.
There'll be more to come. I'm a big fan of Legends, so that's my obsession. If you want to find more information about this, as well as links to all the people that are involved, head over to Protodude's Rockman Corner website. He's got an article that outlines everything, all the innovations. Protodude is on the razor's edge of Mega Man news, so definitely give him some love. Shoutouts to Brian and the team for that. Yeah, and for the translation efforts, keep your eyes on the Rockmania XE Zone. You can follow them on Twitter or follow their website. They will announce when the patch is done. Prof9, I think, tweeted out a couple days ago that work on that has already started. So I expect that not to be too far in the future.
I just hope they get a better emulator.
That's also in progress, as far as I understand. Like they're still, all of this is still developing. I understand why they wanted to get it out as quickly as possible, because it's flipping awesome and super important.
Of course.
But more to come.
Yeah, Godspeed to them. All right, so time for the meat and potatoes after 35 minutes of talking. The Legacy Collection.
Man, the Legacy Collection is actually here.
Did it. I don't have to buy any more green bootleg cards that play Pallet Town music for me to select a game from a Game Boy card. I'm so happy.
We don't have to spend $500 on a set of legitimate cartridges. It's like, there's been a lot that's happened over the past just year in the Battle Network space. And we are all so fortunate that we have what we have with this.
I thought you were gonna say we are so fortunate that Capcom did this and not Nebula Joy.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that is true. Although Capcom did outsource development of the Legacy Collection for Battle Network, which I would like to talk about at some point.
Oh, sure. Yeah, hit me up with that. I want to know.
Yeah, so the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, split into 2 volumes, contains Battle Network 1 through 6. It does not contain Battle Chip Challenge. That is really unfortunate. It does contain netplay for all of the titles.
Yes.
Which is awesome. So that was a big thing about the marketing campaign when they initially started to announce it. They announced the existence of the Legacy Collection, their super awesome high-definition filter, which is kind of bad, and the font is really bad.
It's really bad. It's so smudgy.
Yeah, so the Capcom outsourced the development of the Legacy Collection to a company called Neobards Entertainment.
Okay, all right.
Neobards has done work with Capcom in the past. So they worked on several titles. And folks, I want to take a step back. I don't have a problem with outsourcing. It's a very common practice in the game industry for publishers, for companies that want to get projects over the finish line. It is valid. But this particular outsourcer, Neobards, worked on the Devil May Cry HD collection. They worked on Resident Evil Resistance. They worked on the Resident Evil Origins collection. They worked on Resident Evil Reverse, Silent Hill F. They worked on Dynasty Warriors M, Marvel Avengers. Like, this is a studio that doesn't have an awesome track record.
I was gonna say, oh no, you're not listing anything great.
To put it lightly. Okay, so that's an idea of the bar of quality. With that said, if we put aside the networking issues, which I'll also get into here in a little bit, we can talk about if you want. This collection is good.
Oh yeah.
It is there was an effort to add mod support on Steam by the community. And digging into this, it was discovered that this is a pretty faithful recreation of the way that the GBA code was structured and put together. It isn't. It's here. It's all here, and well put together. So Neobards did good in that regard. They did some post-launch support, although it was a little late. There was community feedback that was listened to and addressed. You know what? Let's jump into the networking, shall we? Have you had a chance to play the networking at all?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to just replay the games.
Okay.
And I was happy with that.
We should sit down and do some netplay. What platforms do you have it on?
Steam and Switch.
Okay, I have the Switch version. Unfortunately, we can't crossplay. There is no crossplay for this.
Nope,
so that's
surprising.
That's fair, yeah. For a title that was outsourced to a third-party developer, okay, that's fine. Well, let's go ahead and load our Switch up, get into a match. On launch, the turn timer was so short. In the custom screen, you had a timer that counts down and automatically just closes the custom screen if that timer elapses.
What?
Originally, it was 15 seconds.
Oh my god.
It has been increased now to 30 seconds after community feedback. But
it's double the time.
If you've ever net battled, you know that 15 seconds is not enough time.
Bro, 15 seconds. You know what though? Hold on. To that, you're correct if you're not playing 6 with HP bug installed. 15 seconds is not enough time. 15 seconds is an eternity in that sense. However, for normal net play, yeah, that's nothing. Like, you want to think, no.
For a game with where each installment has a very diverse library of chips, to where normal people don't know their strategies unless they're like super deep into the game, and then they still have to juggle what their opponent is doing with what they are trying to do. It's difficult. The quality of the connection is also, frankly, terrible. It's really bad. Also, there's a lobby system. It's exclusively a lobby system. There's regional-based matchmaking. And effectively every game. So there's, just like the GBA games, there's ranked and casual. Both of them have their own sets of lobbies, basically. It boggles my mind how bad this system is, and how bad of they just fumbled the bag on this. It really seems like it was a feature that was asked late in development.
Mm-hmm.
Which, for a game that centers around connection, trading, battling, or has the ability to, you got to remember that the Wii U versions of the Battle Network games,
oh man,
they didn't have any networking capabilities. If you went to the network menu, it granted you the secret chips for that title, and that's kind of it. But
hell yeah, that was the best thing.
I mean, yeah, and the Legacy Collection has that feature as well. It also has all of the mod cards, which you can just load up from a menu, which is pristine. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so to summarize this section, I guess, the networking in the Legacy Collection leaves a lot to be desired. There was a community effort by Weenie to create a rollback netcode client called Tango, which I think we've talked about at one point.
Yeah, that was a while ago, right?
It was, yes. Tango has since stopped development, but it's still operational as a rollback netcode, matchmaker, and connection facilitator.
Okay. I need to know, and I'm not feigning ignorance here. How do you implement rollback into net battling? I've never. Does it guess my input? Like, I never actually understood how. In 20 words or less.
Look up a YouTube video. 5 words.
Wow.
No, there's not really a way to summarize it. Rollback netcode is sort of predictive in a way. It basically creates a set of snapshots, and it sort of extrapolates what inputs you're going to make, kind of. And if it's incorrect, or if there's a sudden connection spike, it rolls back both sides of the session.
So I wasn't completely wrong when I was being told about this, and I said, so wait, my Mega Man's just going to fly all the way to the back of the screen because it's guessing wrong?
I mean, in a large sense, the rollback is not that wild. It's really just kind of like, oh, I messed up on that. That's not what actually happened.
Okay.
So it's you wouldn't see it as violently as I am on the front row, now I am on the back row, and I have no chips.
No chips.
Right. Instead, it would be more compartmentalized. It would be like, I move back 1 square, and I move back 1 square a little bit later. Or seemingly later. But you shouldn't see anything, right? There's a whole bunch of videos that are out there that really describe rollback's implementation quite well. GGPO is the original rollback implementation library, so if you want to dig into that more and learn more, anything about GGPO will apply to basically all rollback implementations.
Okay. So sorry to cut you off.
You're good.
So
You're good. Yeah, Tango client. The current live version uses the PC version of the Battle Network Legacy Collection. It does not support backup ROMs for the games. You have to own the PC version of the Legacy Collection in order to use Tango in the present day, which I think is good. You know, like I said, we are really fortunate to even have access to the Legacy Collection at all. So, you know, buying it to support it. It's on sale for the Steam Winter Sale right now as of recording this episode. Yeah, so Legacy Collection. I still can't believe it exists, man. How far have you gotten?
Oh, I've beaten them all.
On both platforms?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because on some of my commutes to school, I would play my Switch. And then when I got home, I would Discord run with some friends in another server.
Okay.
On Steam. So I got through both eventually, and I had wildly different builds, and I was extremely happy about that.
That's pretty awesome. I intend to pick up the Steam copy. I got a Steam Deck for Christmas, so I can play mobilely with that.
Switch 2!
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know. I have it on the Switch currently right now, so...
How far did you get?
I cleared. Well, I skipped Battle Network 1.
Wow.
Oh, before you put me up there.
Even though I bashed it in our very first episode, but not the point.
So, the series producer Yasuma is on Twitter, and he was like, "Wow, this is great to play Battle Network 1. Who produced? Oh yeah, it was me." And he skipped it too. He said,
"What a Chad or what a chud."
I mean, I like Yasu. His Twitter's really cool. There's a lot of cool Dash nuggets. Another Legends mention here. He also produced Mega Man Legends, so there's a lot of really cool, just like Battle Network and Legends trivia on his Twitter. I definitely recommend checking it out. But yeah.
So what's wrong with one? You just didn't want to play it again?
I cleared Iceman. Cleared Iceman's scenario, and I was like, man, this sucks. I'm gonna go play 2. And I did.
Iceman's what did you? Not Elecman?
No, I got pretty... I almost... Actually, yeah, it was Elecman's scenario. I did stop at the battery stuff, because I'm like, wow, there's all your base are belong to us. Corrupted Mr. Frog. I think I'm good. I've seen everything I need to see.
I love him.
Let's jet on to 2. And I did. And then I picked up Battle Network 3. Because I love 3. 3 is one of my favorites in the series, as... It's the same for a lot of people. And I also wanted to net battle people at the speedrunning meetup, which I forgot to talk about and mention.
I will say that Buster Maxing, best edition.
Really? You're a fan?
You know why? Because it made 1 playable.
Yeah. I mean, even Masakazu Iguchi was like, yeah, I put this in because people are older. Like, we don't have time.
I mean, so on the... What did I do it on? I'd use Buster Max on the Switch for that. And I played regular on the Steam. Okay.
I mean, at that point, like, you've gotten the nostalgia out. Now you want to get the full experience. I get it.
Yeah. I will say the 4 and up with the mod support is amazing. Just because you can use it at the very start of the game. And I never realized, like, how... different it is between each of those 3 games. Like, I always thought it was just 80 megabytes. No, it's you have to choose from this set with this letter, but then you can only have this many of that in 4. And I was just like, that's wonky. I love this. It's still Battle Network 4, but this is hilarious. All right.
I like and we touched on a lot of the cool stuff in our Battle Network 4 episode. But the mod cards specifically for B and 4 in the Legacy Collection, like, I was instantly reminded of the cards that let you change the color of your menus. And it's just so cool. Like, it just
a nice one little thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't use my cards, except my menu is black.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is genuinely just a good experience, and you can access them at any time. You can turn on and off the mod cards via the menu, as you used to be able to in the original titles. Yeah, it's a great way to get a leg up, and you also have access to the bonus cards, which grant you like items and sub chips and things like that. So it's
those that give you like sub chips and Zenny, I think, were a bit much.
Really.
Just because it did give... You're right. It gave you the leg up, and I know it's optional, but it's like, damn, man. I got full unlockers and max and mini energy and full energy and...
Yai's credit card.
80,000 Zenny. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
All right. Also, it gave me a base chip. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
bit of easy mode.
Kind of. I mean, there wasn't a lot of discourse around that, which I'm kind of thankful for. Because it is optional, you know. Well, I mean, the discourse was, wow, the net play sucks. The lobby system sucks.
Yes.
That's kind of it. Oh, the filter sucks. But...
that filter is so bad.
Well, if you play on PC, there's text mods for an actual true HD filter on it, which is really good. I highly recommend it. The mod loader is called the Chod loader, too, which is just hilarious.
Chod loader, huh? We put that back in?
Load Chod.
Load Chod.
chod loader. Okay.
Yeah, I get it. What I was gonna say is when I saw how they were like the upscale thing, I saw it and I was like, oh, good. It's like the Grandia remaster all over again.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That broke my heart.
Ooh.
That is one of my favorite games, and it's so, and you can't turn it off.
Nope.
So it's just like, wow, this looks like ass.
I never played the OG Grandia, so playing the HD collection, I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. One's a little weird, but two flipping rocks.
What do you mean? One's great. It has amazing voice acting, right?
Yeah.
You got ooparts, yeah?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta get Draco down on here at some point if we're talking about Grandia.
Uh-oh.
He's...
This isn't a Grandia podcast, I'm sorry.
I mean, you get a bonus episode.
I guess. Grandia's got the best battle system in an RPG. There, I said it.
Oh!
There, I said it. I love that little wheel to death.
Star Ocean did it first.
Yeah, well, I don't remember Star Ocean, so Grandia, baby.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, Legacy Collection. If you haven't already, definitely pick it up. Highly recommended if you're a fan of Battle Network. This is it really is, and this isn't necessarily me shilling. I guess it kind of could be construed as me shilling.
It is.
It's the definitive way to play these games. Like, there aren't any issues. Some of the game-breaking bugs, like some of the story soft locks in Battle Network 4 have been resolved.
They fixed Fireman.
Yes, they did fix Fireman. There are a couple of other game-breaking interactions that have been resolved. But for example, the tree bomb prism glitch is present and usable if you are not in a PvP match.
Yes.
So they really took an effort to make this a faithful, not even really remaster, a faithful collection to the originals.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you, Capcom, if you're out there listening.
Yeah, now, Capcom, you need to listen up. Here we go. I got a bone to pick. Why is it that in the video showing off the collection, way back when, we had that awesome screen of Dark Mega Man with the Dark Sword, and it's obviously an upscaled, redrawn Dark Sword. Why are the Dark Chips not available to look at?
Yeah, that's a little weird, too. So
everything else, man.
So,
and I dig through it because I need those images, and I'm like, Dark Sword. There's no Dark Sword.
I wonder if they're in the files.
They're not.
Wow. So for those that don't know, Capcom actually went back and did HD versions of every art for Battle Chips. You can only see them in the trade screen. You cannot see them in game. It's the original pixel art in game, which is a huge misstep because the custom screen has the font with the filter. So it's not like I don't know. It's just weird decisions like that make Capcom's only involvement with the collection from the development standpoint was consultation from people that originally worked on the game, like Iguchi, and QA. Capcom provided QA services. Every other part of this was NeoBards. And it's just,
But it shows they did it. Because that image, I took it, I used it on a card, it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing weird about it. It is a completely redrawn Dark Sword. And it boggles my mind. I get that the Dark Chips are not tradable, that's why they are not there, but you would think they've shown it. It's got to be in the game files just as trash or anything, but nah.
I don't know. Maybe talk to Trez or any of the people that worked on modding. You might be able to at least get some answers in terms of like maybe combing through the game files or something like that. I don't know too much about that, so I can't. I wish I could be of more help there. Alas.
Sad boys.
I guess it probably seems like I'm crapping on the Legacy Collection a lot, which I have a lot of complaints, and a lot of people in the community also have these similar complaints. They're all valid, right? Like we should...
Give me one more complaint.
One more? You want one more out of me?
Just one. A good one.
A good complaint.
I mean, you hit the net play already. That's pretty good.
It's the big... the net play, honestly, is the biggest complaint that I have. I think that we could have benefited from... Man, we didn't even talk about the title screen or the voice acting.
Oh. That's soulful. I love hearing him talk.
Aside from that, I don't really have any complaints. Like, it's a good collection through and through. It has art. It has music remixes that are really, really well done. I have way more praises to sing about this collection than I do complaints.
I think the funniest complaints I've heard for it are, why didn't they make BN1 operate Shooting Star, and where is 5Ds? Or 5DS. I'm just like, why would they put those in? And how would you even operate a DS game on the Switch?
Well, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl did it with the Pokétch. And Zero and ZX collection also had implementation for that, and those were DS games. So it's not like they can't do it or couldn't do it.
But one of those games is really bad. And the Zero collection was originally a GBA collection of games. Whereas, Double Team is made to use the touchscreen for like a lot of crap.
Yeah, that's pretty pivotal.
So I think they would have had to honestly like remake everything, because you have your Navi switch on the bottom. You use it to do your library. You don't think you do customizer on the bottom. You do it on the top. Mm-hmm. So, but I hear people say that. I was like, why would they add that?
For Operated Shooting Star, I understand why they wouldn't do it, because that's Star Force. That doesn't... I mean, there's a lot more... The new content in OSS is more Star Force related. It's more intrinsic to the plot of the game. They basically have to make it, like, an entry. They can't just make it, like, a subtitle one. Mm-hmm. BCC not being here is a big misstep, I think.
I was legitimately sad. But I coped with it by saying the world was just not ready for the proto-gacha game.
I mean, if they put BCC on a mobile game, my credit card's out, so that's all I'm saying.
I mean, it's an auto battler. Everything's left up to 10 pull. I'm just saying. I love that trash game so much.
It's a good one. I like it.
That's the one I wish that people would have expanded upon in some fashion. Like, everyone wants to mod things. Why don't you mod BCC? Why don't you give me some extra navies in there, bro?
Not everybody sees the truth the way we see it, and that Battle Chip Challenge is a good game. Potentially one of the best in the series.
Instead, they're blinded by Star Force 2 is a good game.
Oh.
I read that earlier. I was like, whew.
I should go back and play the Star Force games again.
Should you?
No, I should. I need to.
You need to? Are you sure? Nothing's changed.
I mean, no, but it's been long enough to where I don't really remember it. I'm also... I've wanted to play Legends again, just to kind of recapture that stuff, but... I don't know.
Yeah, but Legends is a good series. I'm not, like, a big fan of it, but I acknowledge that it's pretty good.
Are you saying Star Force isn't good?
I'm saying it officially here. Star Force, it's not that good.
I think that sounds like a great episode topic for the future. Because I love Star Force a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm critical of Star Force. I give it praise for its story in 1, its crap 2, and I like the forms in 3. The end.
Okay. Well, with that, I think this is as good a place as any to wrap up this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a good hour in.
Yeah. I want to thank those who have stuck around and have asked us where new content is. Thank you for listening to Net Saviors Podcast. We appreciate you. Adell?
Hell yeah. Every time.
Where can people find you?
They can't.
Poof. Whoa! Where'd he go? Ah, man, I got to do the outro. All right, whatever.
Poof! Don't worry. You can find me on the NT Warriors Discord. I'm mostly a card game guy now. Just making Mega Man NT Warrior trading card game. Copyright 2004 Decipher cards all day, every day. Still haven't released the purple set. MMX, what am I doing with my life?
Not releasing the purple set.
I need to release the purple set, bro. literally have numbers set aside.
Yeah.
And I have 4 navies ready to go. Anyway, you can find me on there. We're around on Reddit. You can find us there if you look. MMX, I know, is a lot more active on social media than I am, I'm sure.
For the most part, although these days I'm on co-host at co-host.org. Hold on.
Oh, he's getting it.
Co-host.org/MegamasterX. That's where I'm most active. I'm also on Twitter. I'm not going to call it the stupid other word because it's stupid. It's always going to be Twitter.
But that was one of my favorite Exhibit songs.
Twitter's going to give it... Okay. Well...
No.
Okay.
That was DMX, first off. Secondly...
No, it was DM Twitter.
Oh, well, Twitter Exhibit did just a thing called X. That's it. The whole song is just X.
It just starts
really good.
X! That's it.
Yeah, it's just X.
Yeah, so I am still on Twitter for now, but I'm primarily on co-host. You can also join the M1 Grand Prix Discord at discord.m1gp.net. They're still doing round-robin tournaments with Tango. The community is thriving, and tomorrow is actually the 9th anniversary of the M1GP. I created on December 31st, 2015. So it's coming up on almost 10 years of Battle Network Online PvP. That's crazy! So that's where I am. Again, thank you for listening to the Net Savior podcast. We wouldn't be here without you and your support. So if you're on YouTube, I have to tell you to do all the engagement stuff that you already know that I'm going to say. If you're on the Choice of Podcast platform, we appreciate you listening as well. Be safe. Happy New Year. There will be more episodes. Oh, yeah. It's not going to be another X number of years, or Twitter number of years, until we do another episode. So look forward to that.
Supposedly. MX is going to get with me tomorrow. Something came up. I'm leaving the country for 7 years.
I mean, I gotta go to Sharo. See ya, bud.
I'm going to the Congo. What do they call it in for? It's is it Nefrica?
Yeah, there's Nefrica, Amarup. Oh, we should
Sharo.
We should do an episode on the geography of the world of Battle Network.
It's constantly shifting. I can't imagine the tectonics are very stable.
Well, the whole world's not very stable.
No. Anyway, folks, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.